Hey, hello. My name is Vivek and in this particular video, I'm going to go deeper into the art and science of how solving problems can help you fuel your growth into your career. If you're interested to know more, stay until the end of this video to get deeper into in the coming 20-25 minutes. Now, first and foremost, what is very important is to understand what exactly is problem solving. What is the scope of definition that we are really going to cover? So let me just give some quick round of examples to you. So the first point here that you can really see on the screen is problem solving, as we see, becomes a major function, becomes a major subset of critical thinking. Now, if you know, for any organization that you're working in or you are a student, critical thinking is one of the key skills of the 21st century. You want to work with any organization, and if this is one skill set that you really have within you, you are going to rise and shine in the organization, because the employers will understand that you have the ability to think and analyze any given situation or scenario. Now, problem solving becomes a major function. Why does that really become? Because it gives us the ability to solve any kind of problem. Whether the problem is big, small, very small, it doesn't matter the scale and size of the problem. What matters is what is the approach that you're going to take to solve problems. See, let's understand that every problem, when the problem starts, problems are generally small. When the problems are not addressed on a timely basis, that is where the magnitude of the problem starts to increase, and that is where they become burning issue and people have to attend to those kind of problems on an urgent basis. Do we really get problems? Now, a lot of times these kind of questions comes to me saying, okay, what kind of problems are we really talking about? So first and foremost, let me ask, what is the frequency with which anyone addresses problems? The answer, according to me, is almost every single day. Now, what do I really mean by this when I'm saying every single day? Because we all need to take a variety of decisions every single day, and every time that you have to take a decision, which means you are in a scenario where you have multiple options. So say, for example, you've gone out into the market and you have to pick up some stuffs. You can go to X shop or Y shop. Suppose you have to take a bigger decision in terms of buying a mobile phone. You have several alternatives available in front of you. You can either buy it offline, you can either buy it online. Suppose you have to go out at a particular location, you have multiple choices. If you are not using your own vehicle, you again have multiple choices in terms of public transportation. So all of those things are actually part of decision making, and every time that you have to take decision, just understand directly or indirectly you're trying to solve a particular problem. So that's the entire perspective when it comes to problems. Now, what exactly is a problem? We are trying to solve a problem. What exactly is a problem? It is invariably a gap which takes you from point A to point B, a gap which takes you from where you are currently to where you desire to go. It could be in the form of anything. It could be in the form of eating, it could be in the form of learning, it could be in the form of traveling, it could be connected to anything that you can think of which is relevant for you. So say, for example, you are in situation X and you desire to go to situation Y. So this journey to travel from situation X to situation Y could be like solving a problem. You have to travel a distance, and likewise, like the examples that I spoke about. And what exactly is problem solving? Problem solving is, in very simple words, it's all about using your logic plus imagination, which means you're using both your rational mind as well as your creative mind, because imagination happens through the creative mind, which is the right side of our mind, and logic is what comes actually from the rational mind, which is the left side of the brain. So left brain and right brain combination together actually helps us in solving problem. What really happens when you combine the two is you really get a sense of the situation, and through that, whatever information that is coming in front of you, that is what is actually helping you to solve the problem in an intelligent manner. Now, for a moment, let's just think about it from a college perspective. If you are a college student and if you have to go out and collect sponsorship, and at this point in time, suppose there's lockdown or all the shops are not open to engaging, what are the different possible alternatives that you're going to use? And if suppose everything is open and everything is normal, what is what is it that you're going to do differently this year which may not have really happened in the past. So this is one example. You're organizing some event in the college, that could be another example. For a working professional, you have a new project at hand, and this is for a new client. They are really looking at something innovative, something creative, and something which is also equally cost efficient. How are you then going to solve that problem? So that is where once you are able to use your logic and imagination, probably a brainstorming with a group of people, understanding the market scenario, going and visiting the market, engaging with with the people in the market to understand, saying what is it that the competition is doing, how are they able to grow, how are they able to survive, how are they able to to their own set of challenges. Those are the kind of things that can really help you in terms of achieving this particular feat. Then the next part is, what is it that some of the finest problem solvers typically do? Some of them, what they typically do is, before they actually land in the problem, they start to anticipate, they start to think, saying, okay, agar maine ye route liya, to what will really happen? If I take the other route, what will really happen? So they start to anticipate those things, and as a result, what happens? They are able to take action, one, to prevent if there is something which is critical and something which might happen, and second is they are able to minimize the challenges. Suppose if the challenge is going to be of this scale, they are able to minimize those challenges to a much smaller level, and that is the power that typical problem solvers have at their disposal, because they use this to their advantage. So I hope the intro makes complete sense to you. If it makes complete sense, type MS in the chat box wherever you're seeing this video. Awesome. Okay, let me now come to the next point, which is, what is it that recruiters want? You are a student and you are going to have a wholesome career ahead of you. Once you graduate, you are going to enjoy your career. You're going to work in different locations. And if you're already a working professional, awesome. So what is it that recruiters typically look at when they recruit you? Typically, recruiters have started to look at very closely your ability to deal with different situations, your ability to solve the situation that you have been deep into. How do you really look at problem? What is the kind of approach that you look at? Are you someone who is strong when it comes to resilience? Are you someone who has the ability to deal with crisis? And all of these kind of aspects is what recruiters typically look at. So let me just give a quick example. How do you really approach any given problem? So recruiters look at what is the approach that you have. Maybe problems arising in the workplace, when you are in office or when you are in field. How do you really deal with those problems? The problems and challenges might be connected to operations. It depends upon the kind of role that you are typically playing in the organization. Suppose these problems are connected to operational areas. What is the operational issue? Is it connected to launch of new products? Is it connected to something else? Is it connected to engagement in the field? Is it connected to people? What is it really connected with? Then is it connected to supply chain, where you're talking about movement into new territory? You're talking about supply. How is it that a new vendor is going to supply products to you and the product should reach to you in an appropriate manner? Or is it really connected to HR, wherein there is conflict between team members and team members are not able to really engage effectively? What exactly is the issue which is really coming up in the workplace? How do you really deal with these situations? And that is where your ability to use logic plus imagination. Two people, suppose if they have a tussle, how do you really solve those tussle? You can solve that tussle by understanding the two individuals better, by listening to them, by solving probably the communication gap that may have happened between them, by probably resolving the kind of ego clashes. A lot of times in workplace, there are ego clashes that typically comes between people. You have to go deeper. You have to go deeper into understanding them as human beings and then try to address those kind of problems. And what are the skills that they really look at while analyzing this aspect? The skills that they look at is numerous. So these are the kind of skills that you can see on the screen. These are the skills that recruiters typically look into you every time that you are searching for a new employment or even for the growth. You're working in organization X, Y, or Z, whatever may be the case. You want to grow within your own organization. The employers and the key people in the organization are going to look at some of these aspects that you really see on the screen. Analytical skills. Why is it that analytical skills make a lot of difference? Because it shows your ability to analyze different scenarios. It shows your ability to look at data. It shows your ability to look at different situations and then solve the problems. Not be a problem maker, but actually be a problem solver. Someone who has the ability to deal with any situations, and that's where analytical skills typically comes in. The second one is innovative and creative thinking. Now, innovative and creative thinking shows that someone like you who has the power to imagine different scenarios, the power to imagine different kind of situations or engagements between people. So routine ways of working, saying, okay, you do the same thing that you've always been doing over many, many years, may not always work here. So that's the whole point, where recruiters are very closely kind of analyzing this entire scenario. The third one is adaptability and flexibility. And when it comes to this situation, it's like saying that, okay, the situation is not, very, very appropriate like the way it has always been. How do you really adjust and acclimatize yourself to the given scenario? You are someone who is very flexible, very agile, and you can adjust. So that's the kind of adaptability and flexibility that you really have. And, it doesn't really matter whether, you have already crossed a certain stage in that situation or in your career, or you're just starting off. It doesn't matter. What matters is how agile you are, how flexible you are to what is relevant today, what is relevant now, what is relevant at this point in time. So that is what this entire point is really talking about. The fourth one is initiative. Initiative, guys, let me tell you, initiative is one of the most important skill sets, because that shows what is the level of ownership that you really can take as an individual. What is your appetite to take up more work and thereby more challenges? And the more the number of challenges you are able to take up, it actually highlights that you have the ability and appetite to grow in the career of wherever you're working. So in the career and in the hierarchy of the organization, your ability to grow will increase the moment you start taking up more initiative. See, there are two kind of people. One kind of individual or really thinking, okay, if I take up more responsibility, how am I really going to do? There's already enough work. So those are people with probably fixed mindset. But when people are with growth mindset, they always look at saying, okay, it's the same pot of time which is there for everyone. How can I really make a difference? How can I really be innovative and creative in my work? And that is where problem solving also plays a huge role. The next one is resilience. So resilience is your ability to really rise from the failure. Now look at what pandemic really did. Pandemic really had put the entire world upside down. The normal ways of working wasn't working anymore. So which means if the first idea or the idea which is already running, if that idea doesn't work, what do you do now? You have to again restart the cycle by thinking afresh, by thinking, saying, how can I really establish my online model so that my online model can generate a lot of returns for me? It can become a lot more effective for people, for customers, for all the stakeholders, and likewise. And finally, last but not the least, it's the power of collaboration. And the moment we talk about collaboration, it's all about teamwork, how you can take multiple people together with yourself in this journey. So probably the recruiters and the employers would like to know, how have you really worked collectively as part of a team? And are you a solo person or are you a team person? When you're saying that you're a team person, this is what the employers would love to understand. So you see, everywhere problem solving typically becomes the key. If you have been able to work in teams, which means your ability to solve problems is high, because you've looked at different kind of scenarios, combinations, situations, and stuff like that. Okay, let me come to the third one, which is solve problems. So how do you really solve problems? You solve problems first and foremost by breaking down the problems into smaller parts. Now, when I'm saying how do you really break down the problem, that is by following a method called IDEAL. And when I'm saying IDEAL, what do I really mean by this? It's a 5-step process. I stands for identifying the issue. The moment you look at any problem, first and foremost, look at the problem saying, okay, what exactly is the issue? Okay, I have heard and I have understood the entire scenario. What exactly is the core issue that I have to solve? The moment you look at the core issue, the next point that comes in is define the obstacles. To solve this particular problem, which are the barriers, or what are the barriers that you need to cross now? Once you're very clear saying what the barriers are, and that is where you will start to look at saying, okay, what are the available options that I have to solve this particular problem? Once you start to look at different kind of options, that is where your mind will look at saying, okay, this is the best possible option, because this option takes X number of people, it takes Y amount of time, and it is costing me Z amount. So all of those kind of things you might like to look at. And once you have agreed on a course of action, next important point is look at how that is working, whether it's working, not working, whether you need to bring any change, or is it really good as it is. That is where you will have to go deeper into all of these points. And you look at IDEAL into any scenario, whether it's your personal scenario, whether it's your professional scenario, whether you're a working professional or a college student or a postgraduate student, it doesn't matter. IDEAL as a method is going to work everywhere, because all that you're trying to do is you're trying to fundamentally break down the problem into different parts. You're going to look at the problem closely. You're going to define what the challenges to solve that problem are. You're then going to look at all the alternative options connected to that problem. Then you're going to decide what is your finest option, considering all the stakeholders, considering cost, and also considering, very importantly, time, amount of time that you need to spend. And then finally, you are also going to look at the entire cycle again, saying whatever decision that I have taken, is it really working? Is it working well, or do I need to change any of those things? So these are the kind of things that you must really look into when you want to solve problems. The next one is, we've discussed about how to solve problems or look at solving problems, but how do you really solve problems? You solve problems by some of these methods. 5 pointers that you see here. If you use these pointers effectively, your ability to solve any problems increases significantly. The first point when it comes to solving problems is, which is where people lack a lot of times, is trust yourself. You have to first start to believe in yourself, saying, I have the ability to solve the problem. I can solve the problem. Because solving problem comes as a natural intuitive power into you. If you've been solving problems right from your childhood, so many different things that you've looked at every single day already have it within you. All that you need to look at is look at the given problem very, very closely. And solving problem, you really get support from multiple angles. You get support because you're going to brainstorm with multiple people, like the way we discussed about collaborative teamwork. You are also going to use your own guesswork, saying, okay, if I take this particular route, this route is going to work the finest because I have my strength in solving this particular problem. The third one is trial and error. A lot of times you have to take uncharted route, uncharted territories, uncharted path. And those kind of routes and paths become important because they help you to move in the right direction, and you can always take a course correction. And finally, it's your own ability to think creatively. Are you able to think creatively, saying, okay, no, these solutions may not really work. I have to look at this particular thing differently, because if I look at these things differently, the solution might become a lot more effective. So this is the kind of pointer that you must really look at. The second point is being inquisitive. So see, we solve problems by being inquisitive, asking why, asking that question, why are you taking this, or why are you doing this, or why are you walking this path, or why we have to do it this particular way. So this ensures that we simply move beyond whatever is available in front of us. It also ensures that your ability to think and question, and also above that, challenge the given situation, increases considerably. And if you are able to do that, you yourself decide your path to become a winner. The third point here is evaluation. Now, why is evaluation really important? You have multiple possible options, and with all these problems, what happens is, if you look at any given problem, to solve a problem, there never is a single solution. There will always be multiple solutions or multiple paths to solve the same problem. And if there are multiple paths, the point in front of you is, which path are you going to take? If you want to take a particular path, you have to look at saying, are you capable to solve the problem using that path, or do you need to take another path which you are most comfortable with? So all of these things can also really come from your own judgment. So you have to use your own judgment to analyze, saying, okay, whether this really works for me, whether it doesn't work for me. So you have to look at those things. And then what can also aid you in terms of improving your problem solving skill is, do you really play games like Sudoku or chess, something which challenges your mind, something where you are trying to really solve problems big time, or you're trying to solve small problems by spending time on those particular things. So these are some quick examples. You can play any game. There are so many of them which are also available online. But the point is, the more you are able to solve problems, the more you are able to increase your appetite to solve them. And finally, problems that you have solved already. So what I really mean by this is, see, all of us have always been solving problems. It's like saying that, okay, I've created a DIY, do it yourself. Now, what do I really mean by this is, DIY is like solving a problem. Every time that you do work on your own, what you really do is, you create your own manual of usage, of pattern. Like, just imagine if your car breaks down on the road, your bike breaks down on the road, what do you really do? If suppose the bus in which you're traveling from, say, home to college, if it stops working suddenly, what do you really do? You do a DIY, saying, okay, bus has stopped, what do I do? Do I take an auto? Do I travel by another bus? Do I take a taxi? What do I really do? So those are the kind of things that you create for yourself. And then obviously, as I said earlier, usage of logic and imagination can really work wonders, because it can really help you to navigate through the problem in a much more efficient manner. And finally, the last point is, understand that problem solving is a great fuel or funnel walk into your leadership positions, to walk into leadership roles in your own career. By now you've really understood that this is an essential skill. So if I have to just give you an example, what really happens during rains? If you see, what happens in rain is all the birds who are actually flying in the air, they all take shelter positions. They all occupy their own shelter areas. However, eagle as a bird, eagle rises by flying above the clouds, because eagle, like the way eagle is the bird of birds, similar akin to this is, problems are common to all, but the way you are going to look at the problem, your approach to solve the problem is going to bring a difference in your life. I hope you enjoyed this entire video. Take care, God bless, and what are your top learnings that you're taking away from here? Do comment in the chat box, and do remember to subscribe this channel. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye bye.